evening and welcome to News Watch on Hope TV this Wednesday, the 17th of November 2021. Thank you so much for joining us for the latest updates. Let's first begin with the day's highlights. President Uhuru Kenyatta now appoints retired Brigadier John Kibaso Warioba to replace Kenya Prison Service Commissioner General Wycliffe Ogallo following the escape of 3 terror suspects from Committee Maximum Security Prison. And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken commences his 2-day state visit of Kenya, meets President Uhuru Kenyatta, with regional peace and security taking center stage in discussions. The High Court in Kisii jails man for 40 years for killing his wife. And the Law Society of Kenya has called for the resignation of High Court Judge Justice Said Chitembwe over alleged corruption and abuse of office. Welcome to News Watch. I'm Tonny Omondi and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. Following the escape of 3 terror suspects from the Committee Maximum Security Prison, President Uhuru Kenyatta on Wednesday sacked the Kenya Prison Service Commissioner General Wycliffe Ogallo and appointed retired Brigadier John Kibaso Warioba to be Commissioner General of the Kenya Prison Service as part of efforts to seal off security loopholes. State House spokesperson Kanze Dena said the appointment follows the briefing to the head of state from the ministry responsible for correctional services regarding the security breaches at the Committee Maximum Security Prison that led to the escape of the inmates. The president has also directed the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, and all security formations to take all action necessary and pursue the committee escapees while calling upon state investigative agencies to bring to book officers accountable for the security breach.
I, John Kibaso Warioba, do swear that I will well and truly serve the Republic of Kenya in the office of the Commissioner General of Kenya Prison Service, and that I will do justice in accordance with this Constitution of Kenya as by law established and in accordance with the laws and customs of the Republic without fear or favor, affection or ill will. So help me God.
Congratulations. Well done.
Meanwhile, former Commissioner General of Prison Service Wycliffe Ogallo, who was sacked earlier today by President Uhuru Kenyatta, has reportedly been arrested. According to reports, Ogallo was picked by DCI detectives from his office at Magereza House, the prison service headquarters, alongside 2 other top officers, moments after the announcement of his sacking. However, the National Police Service, NPS, has denied that the former Kenya Prison Service Commissioner General Wycliffe Ogallo has been arrested. On Twitter, the NPS said the police only facilitated a smooth and seamless handover of office. Meanwhile, the 3 Committee Maximum Prison officers arrested following the escape of 3 terror convicts at the facility will remain in police custody for a further 25 days. The trio, Edwin Muhia Njuguna, Sylvester Musyoka Mukisyo, and Moses Kaikai Talango, were on duty during the prison escape on Monday and allegedly failed to raise the alarm. And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has commenced his 2-day state visit in Kenya with key issues among them COVID-19, climate change, regional peace and security taking center stage in talks with President Uhuru Kenyatta. Blinken has held a meeting with President Uhuru Kenyatta at State House, Nairobi, on his first official visit to Africa with an appeal for the preservation of democracy and inclusion in politically and ethnically fractured societies in Africa. Before meeting President Kenyatta, Blinken held talks with civil society leaders and asked for ideas on how to stop the bad actors who test democratic institutions at a time neighboring countries Ethiopia and Sudan are experiencing insecurity. Dickens Luvanda reports on Blinken's tour of Africa.
The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Kenya's capital Nairobi early Wednesday on his tour through Africa amid political instability in most African countries and questions about Joe Biden administration's approach to the continent. Blinken, who was received by President Uhuru Kenyatta at State House, Nairobi, is the highest-ranking official in Joe Biden's administration to visit sub-Saharan Africa. His visit to East Africa's Kenya seeks to advance diplomacy to pull Kenya's neighbor Ethiopia back from the brink of what experts say could be an expansion of the devastating civil war that has been raging in the north of the country and Sudan's unstable transition government following twin coups.
One place where we're both deeply concerned is Ethiopia. The conflict there threatens not just that country, but its neighbors as well. I very much appreciate President Kenyatta's engagement on this, including at the United Nations and in person in Ethiopia. We're working closely with Kenya, the African Union, and its High Representative for the Horn of Africa, former Nigerian President Obasanjo, as well as other partners. Our Special Envoy, Jeff Feltman, is working with High Representative Obasanjo to press the parties to end hostilities immediately and without preconditions, to stop human rights abuses and violations, to provide humanitarian access for the millions in northern Ethiopia who are in dire need of life-saving supplies.
Kenya has played a key role in diplomatic efforts to peacefully resolve conflict between the Ethiopian central government and rebels in its northern Tigray region, and Biden's administration has embraced Kenya, one of most long-standing allies of the United States.
What some call the Democratic.
Before the planned meeting with President Kenyatta at State House, Blinken held talks with the civil society leaders and asked for ideas on how to stop the bad actors who test African democratic institutions.
Even vibrant democracies like Kenya experiencing these pressures, especially around election time. We've seen the same challenges here that we see in many parts of the world. Misinformation, political violence, voter intimidation, voter bribery, fanning tensions between ethnic groups. And these are stories that we see in place after place.
Blinken is expected in Nigeria, where he will outline a vision for the United States policy towards Africa, one that is expected to focus on the value of democracy to the continent's future, and later end his trip in West Africa's Senegal. Deacon Sylvanda, Hope TV News.
A high court in Kisii County has sentenced a man to 40 years in prison for murdering his wife. Handing over the jail term virtually to George Murara, aged 50, Justice Rosa Ugo remarked an uncustodial sentence was not suitable for the accused. Justice Ugo, however, allowed the accused to appeal against the sentence within the stipulated period. The accused was found guilty of killing his wife, Jessica Murara, and burying her body secretly. He had allegedly lured her to come back from her parents' home, where she had escaped to after a domestic quarrel.
Knows that although you state that you suffer from a terminal illness, there was no proof of such of you suffering from such an illness. And considering all the above, I sentence you, George Maroba Oraba, to serve a sentence of 40 years imprisonment from the date of sentence, and you have a right of appeal within 14 days. Huh?
I'm already 40 years.
Yes.
Hii kesi bila imeendeleshwa tangu 2019 hadi wakati huu ambaye tumekuja kusudia akiwa amefungwa miaka 40 kwa mauaji ambaye alitekeleza yeye mwenyewe. Ingawaje kuna wengine walishirikiana ambaye hawakupatikana. Sasa mimi nimeshukuru koti yetu ya High Court Kisii kwa ile kazi ambayo imefanya.
The Law Society of Kenya, LSK, Nairobi chapter has asked High Court Judge Justice Said Chitembwe to resign over corruption allegations leveled against him. The branch chairman, Eric Theuri, said the judge cannot continue holding his office in the face of allegations touching on his conduct at the judiciary. LSK has threatened to eject Justice Said Chitembwe from his chambers if the Judicial Service Commission does not expedite investigation into the complaints against the embattled judge within the next 14 days. Grace Ongoi has this report.
Trouble has rocked Justice Said Chitembwe after the Law Society of Kenya Nairobi branch threatened to eject him from his chambers. According to LSK, they will take the said action if the Judicial Service Commission does not expedite the complaints lodged against the embattled judge within the next 14 days. Said Chitembwe's wars began after a video purported to be of him discussing on how to compromise a case went viral. The video was posted by former Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko on his social media platform.
You know, if you have money, you can we can facilitate these things in court very fast. Mwanza anaandika, we can out of the pen give him something under the table, atengenezea ite clients wake wa sign, apatie originals, they go and take the money, so it can facilitate.
Action must be taken, and action must be taken immediately. If the Judicial Service Commission does not comply and ensure that these investigations, these complaints are investigated within the next 14 days, then we have no alternative than to march to the office of the chambers of the judge and eject the judge from office. Because we cannot sit, you cannot participate in proceedings where a judge is presiding and you are not sure if the other side has come and compromised the proceedings that are engaged before you.
The Nairobi chapter chairman, Eric Theuri, lamented that the actions of the High Court judge, although yet to be proven, cast a dark cloud on the judiciary and, if not solved, will erode the public's trust in the judiciary. The allegations reveal a rot in the judiciary, the body tasked with delivering justice to Kenyans. Theuri advised the judge to step down from his office if at all he has been involved in any corruption.
We call upon the judge to examine his moral compass. In the event that the allegations made against the judge are true, then he should do the honorable thing and immediately resign from office. And in the event also that these allegations are also not true, but he was engaged in discussions with some of these shadowy characters, then he must do also the honorable thing and resign from office.
In July this year, Judge Chitembwe and Justice Muchelilo were arrested after DCI police officers raided their offices and found in their possession $50,000. Accusations that the two judges vehemently denied. Their arrest caused an uproar among the public, who begged the independence of the judiciary to be upheld. President Uhuru Kenyatta has come under heat after refusing to swear in judges whom he claimed have integrity issues. Grace Songoi for Hope TV News Watch.
Away from that, demonstrations rocked Uriri Trading Center in Migori this morning as hundreds of residents blocked the busy Kisii-Migori highway, protesting the killing of a watchman by unknown thugs. The incident caused heavy traffic as the visibly angry protesters called on the government to transfer all the local police officers from the police station in what they termed as their inability to deal with the rising crime in the area. Dolly Mirigi has this report.
The watchman, identified as Joram Gavaga, was reportedly attacked and slaughtered at Comrade Bai in Uriri Trading Center last night, while his colleague Owino Ondego was seriously injured by the known number of thugs and rushed to Migori County Referral Hospital for treatment. The bar manager Nathaniel Odipo told the press at the scene of the attack that the thugs also stole 5 television sets and cash money, all worth over 450,000. Police had a rough time controlling the crowds that accused them of harassing peaceful members of the public instead of fighting crime in the area. Uriri Deputy County Commissioner asked the demonstrators to calm down, saying all was being done to apprehend the thugs.
Imefanyika na tunataka kusema ni pole sana. Hii ni isolated case ambayo wale wamefanya hiyo kazi tutahakikisha ya kwamba wameshikwa wote.
Ni huzuni kuu tena na tena tunasema kama walinzi wa Uriri waangalie, wapige doria. Imekuwa mbaya. tunajua tunaangazia naenda Disemba, lakini wapige doria ili watu wetu wasiuawe sana.
However, the local business community said criminals had become notorious at the market and the nearby villages, attacking and injuring people even at daytime. Oriri Business Community Group claimed that insecurity had been rising in the area because the police, who are supposed to protect the people, were only busy fighting changa business and members of the public walking without face masks.
Center ndogo hata wakikuja mara mbili wametujua. Unakuta kama mtu kama mimi ninatolewa pale dukani ati wewe hujavaa mask sijui nini, na wakati tunataka watengeneze security ya hapa hawashughuliki.
Ningeomba tu watu wa serikali wakuje watusaidie tupate security ya kutosha, na tungeomba pia mheshimiwa hizi light ambazo zimewekwa zikienda kwa DC waweke hapa ndani pia, watu wa hapa wawe na naitwa nini light ya kutosha, kwa maana hapa ilikuwa vizuri, lakini 2 months ago up to now tumesha kuwa na uvamizi na watu walikuwa na nyang'anya watu simu kwa barabara, unakuta tu mtu anakunyang'anya simu. Watu wamevamiwa.
He also accused the local police officers of engaging in alcohol drinking, saying that most of the time the officers were drunk and could not mount night patrols. Former Central Ward Councillor condemned the incident and urged the Interior Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, to deploy more security to the people, especially at the grassroots. Dolly Mirigi, Hope TV, Newswatch.
M-Pesa Foundation, in partnership with Gertrude's Hospital Foundation, have on Wednesday launched a telemedicine program dubbed Daktari Smart, which aims to reduce the number of referrals of sick children by allowing county health facilities to have access to specialists. As Kennedy Kimani now reports, the 3-year program is expected to optimize the capacity and reach of healthcare delivery systems.
According to the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board Union, the doctor-to-patient ratio currently stands at about 1 doctor for every 6,355 people, which leads to difficulties in getting access to a qualified medical professional. This is one of the reasons that led the M-Pesa Foundation to partner with Gertrude's Hospital Foundation to launch a 3-year program dubbed Daktari Smart, which aims to reduce referrals of sick children and optimize the quality of health care.
What we are trying to do as a hospital focused on pediatric care is to try and get the pediatrician to serve as many children in this country, irrespective of the geographical challenge, and also that this child who is in a remote setting in this country can get good quality care in line with the UHC requirement.
Daktari Smart is a kit that comprises electronic medical devices such as the electronic stethoscope, vital signs monitor, dermoscope camera, ultrasound machine, otoscope, and the electrocardiogram used to check the heart's rhythm and electrical activity.
And that is why a partnership such as the one we are launching today are so crucial. And not only are we coming in by funding the project through the M-Pesa Foundation, but with our 4G internet coverage spread across the country, but also our fiber network, we are promising reliable connectivity needed for the telemedicine platform to work.
The key of these programs that we want to, they must be sustainable. So whatever we do, we want to see it grows and it has long-term sustainability.
M-Pesa Foundation has committed over 168 million shillings towards the initiative, while Gertrude Children's Hospital will invest over 35 million shillings in the next 3 years. The program targets over 32,000 children in Samburu, Homa Bay, Baringo and Lamu counties.
We are grateful for this partnership, and more so we look forward that now that we have this advancement in technology, it will come in very handy. Daktari Smart is already up and running as we speak in Samburu. We've already done quite capacity building for our health workers, for our health volunteers. Quite a number of staff have been trained. We already have the equipments in place. And as of 31st October, we've had about 6 children who've been attended remotely. Of course, our capacity down there is limited, particularly in terms of human resource, and that is where this service comes in very handy. It saves us resources in terms of referrals. It saves us cost in terms of time consumption, and that is why it's quite handy.
Through the Daktari Smart program, besides improving access to healthcare, community health volunteers, social workers and health workers in the targeted counties will also benefit from training via video conferencing. Kennedy Kimani, Hope TV Newswatch, Nairobi.
Right, with that report from Kennedy Kimani, let's take a short commercial break on Newswatch. We'll be back shortly with more. Do stay with us.
Only God can turn a mess into a message.
I have a boy on a wheelchair. Yeah. I'm still preaching on the pulpit.
Amen. Niliona mguu ya nyuma inakuja tu kunikanyaga imenilenga tu kwa tumbo. Nikaitana tu Jesus.
I got tired of working with the x-ray papers and one day I just woke up and decided to burn them.
A test into a testimony.
The whole community didn't want to hear that anybody is born again. Excommunicated straight.
Bila Yesu hakuna njia.
Join Sharon Naitore Wangenye on Testify.
Katika hiyo harakati hiyo spirit ikakemewa, mimi nimeona Yesu Kristo namna hii. Kwa msalaba. Opa. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m. for a moment to grow your faith some more.
Furahia na Optiven.
Dad! Gari mpya!
Umetoa wapi gari mpya?
Optiven wametusort.
Optiven?
Nunua any of our value-added properties ama redeem installment ya property yako. Kwa kila malipo ya 10,000 unapata 1 entry point kwenye draw ya Furahia na Optiven promotion. Airtime kushindaniwa kila siku, holiday kila wiki, shinda ploti na gari kila mwezi, na grand prize ya Mercedes-Benz C180. Ni rahisi, buy ama redeem na ushinde na Furahia na Optiven.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Humanitarian organizations from 23 arid and semi-arid lands are complaining of misappropriation of funds set aside by the government to alleviate the suffering of Kenyans affected by the drought that has since been declared a national disaster. The government set aside 2 billion shillings in September to help provide relief to Kenyans on the brink of starvation.
Thousands of Kenyans in the northern counties continue to suffer the ravaging effects of the drought, which continues to worsen, despite the government setting aside funds to alleviate the suffering of affected Kenyans through distribution of water and food. Substantive help to the people seems far-fetched. Humanitarian organizations based in 23 arid and semi-arid lands are now alleging that the funds released by the government for the benefit of affected Kenyans have been misappropriated and now call for cash transfers rather than food distribution. To signify how dire the situation is, camels, which are known for their resilience in dry areas, have been dropping dead. The residents now worry humans may start dying if the government does not step in to act quickly.
Maisha ya watu wako hatarini. Mifugo imeanza kwenda. Ngamia zinakufa. Wacha useme habari ya ng'ombe na mbuzi. Kwa hivyo apili yetu ni kwa serikali kuu achukue hatua na jaribu kufika save life.
At the same time, thousands of West Pokot residents are in dire need of food due to drought. As a result, over 90% of livestock have moved to neighboring country Uganda. According to West Pokot Governor John Lonyangapuo, it was time the county invested in irrigation schemes that will ensure the county never suffers food shortage.
Inahindi kwamba kina seva wako hapa a team of development partners kuja na NRT. Tunafanya mini and micro irrigation schemes kila mahali, na wiki hii tutafungua moja. Na ndaomba ya kwamba wahisani wote wenye wanaweza kufanya na watu yangu, tuko na mito mingi iko na maji which requires to be tapped. Hata mkitupea pesa ya irrigation scheme, dam tufurute hiyo maji iende. That is the solution to this shortage of food.
President Uhuru Kenyatta at State House, Nairobi, has signed the Refugee Bill, Foreign Service Bill, and the Law of Succession Amendment Bill into law. The new Refugees Act, which had earlier been referred to Parliament for reconsideration by the President, strengthens the management of refugees by consolidating provisions of several international legal instruments. On the other hand, the new Foreign Service Act establishes the Foreign Service Academy, among other key provisions aimed at enhancing Kenya's foreign relations. The Law of Succession Amendment Bill, sponsored by Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma, amended the Law of Succession Act so as to streamline administration matters in the country. And a section of civil society organizations, CSOs, drawn from the coastal region, has differed with a High Court judgment that dismissed their petition challenging the amendments to the Prevention of Terrorism Act of 2012. In their petition, the over 20 CSOs had argued that the National Assembly had, through the miscellaneous amendment of 2019, amended the Prevention of Terrorism Act 2012 to include draconian provisions. The changes granted the National Counter-Terrorism Act powers to regulate the operation of civil society organizations and international non-governmental organizations. Speaking to the media outside the Mombasa Law Courts on Tuesday, Coast Civil Society Network chairperson Zedekiah Adika expressed their dissatisfaction with the ruling, stating that they will appeal the judgment.
Tumeingia baridi, tunahofia usalama wetu pia vile ilivyo. Serikali, ATPU na security agency watafanya vile wafanyavyo. Tukifanya mkutano tutashikwa kama kawaida na amna lolote.
The difference we have with Justice Ogola's judgment yesterday is that he is trying to bring life to a dead law that had been declared by 3 judges in Nairobi. We see this judgment as a continued process of curtailing civic space and civic voice by reducing civil society to report to an institution that we gave mandate to bring together state institutions, not civil society, nobody outside government. Our call of duty is to defend the Constitution, the principles therein, values, and the Bill of Rights. In this regard, we also want to commend the judiciary for continued upscaling of jurisprudence in Kenya.
And Kilifi County residents and stakeholders on Tuesday rejected the proposed nuclear power plant project during a public consultation meeting held to validate the Strategic Environmental and Social Assessment (SESA) report, claiming that the project's negative impacts outweigh the positive.
Wakati ambapo mazingira na afya ya wananchi inaharibika, serikali mara nyingi hutoroka jukumu lake. Tumeona Uhuru. Ile burden ya health na mazingira inarudi kwa wananchi. Lakini wakati wananchi wanauliza maswali hayajibiwi. Tumeambiwa kuwa ile waste ambayo itatoka kwa huu mtambo wa nuclear itaenda kuwekwa kule kwenye mwezi kwa moon. Huko ndio wana plan kwenda kudispose hiyo waste. Wanatuona sisi kama ni vinyago, watuelewi wanasema nini. Kwa sababu Uhuru tuliambiwa tuliambiwa kuwa ile waste haitatupwa. Itakuwa stored pale, itakuwa recycled 100%. Sasa kuna wananchi 3,000 Uhuru ambao wameathirika na lead poisoning, ambayo serikali imeshindwa kudeal na hiyo kesi.
Hatujajua hasa hii project itafanyika wapi. Pili ni kwamba jamii ya Kilifi haijakuwa na ufahamu mwingi kuhusiana na hii project. Kwa hivyo yule mama kule chini, yule hustler kule village hajui kama kitu gani kinafanyika. na kusema kweli, kwa sababu ni mradi ambao huenda ukawa una athari hasi na nyingine nzuri, ni vema watu wote waweze kufahamishwa.
In any given project that we develop in any country, normally public acceptance is normally the biggest challenge. And that cannot be overemphasized in our case in Kenya here. Because even in the other countries all over the world, the public acceptance level when you mention nuclear has always been an issue.
Kwa sasa hivi hatuwezi sema kwamba mradi uko hapa ama pale fulani. Tunaendelea kuangalia, kuna vitu mingi ambazo tunaenda kuangalia, na baada ya hii kama Wakenya watasema wanakubaliana na hii mradi na serikali pia itakuwa inakubaliana nao, kutakuwa na kitu ambayo inaitwa detailed studies. Na detailed studies bado zitafanywa katika sites kadhaa. Baada ya hiyo detailed studies kufanywa, ndio tuhakikishe kwamba hapa ndio mahali tupanafaa mradi huo. Hapo ndio tutaweza kusema tutaweka beacon hapa na pale na tuseme project itakuwa hapa.
Let's now look at what is happening internationally. Thousands of people have taken part in protests against last month's coup in Sudan, with security forces shooting dead at least 5 people and wounding dozens of others. This is according to local medics and international media. Protesters marched in neighborhoods across the capital Khartoum and its twin cities of Bahri and Omdurman on Wednesday as security forces fired live bullets and tear gas after mobile phone communications and internet were cut earlier in the day. The Central Committee of Sudanese Doctors, CCSD, an independent union of medics, reported 4 deaths in Bahri and 1 in Omdurman. The demonstrators took to the streets in defiance of a deadly crackdown by security forces that has killed dozens of people since the military seized power last month. The protesters are demanding a full handover to civilian rule and for the coup leaders to be tried in court. In Ethiopia, a report by the United Nations Human Rights Agency says at least 1,000 people, mostly ethnic Tigrayans, have been arrested since the government declared a state of emergency on 2nd November this year. Under the 6th-month emergency, the authorities have sweeping powers to arrest people, detain suspects without trial, and conduct house searches without warrants. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights said at least 1,000 individuals are believed to have been detained over the past week or so, with some reports putting the figure much higher. The statement said detention conditions are generally poor and many detainees are held in overcrowded police stations. 10 local UN staff members who were arrested on 9th November remain in detention. According to the UN, most of those detained are reported to be people of Tigrayan origin, arrested often on suspicion of being affiliated to or supporting the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF. In the past, police said the arrests were not ethnically motivated but targeted supporters of the TPLF, which has been fighting the federal government for the past year and is now advancing towards the capital. Right, with that, let's take another short break on News Watch. When we come back, we'll be looking at what is happening in business and sports.
Hope TV is where you look and live. A selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live.
Our Christian life is not just about God always stepping in when you are in trouble. But sometimes you need to go through the valley of the shadow of death, and God will say, angels, stand away. He must go through that. She must go through that. Because out of this would come something greater and more beautiful.
Let's continue with business news. Border operators in Narok County have been urged to join SACCOs to enable them save money and improve their livelihoods. This is after the operators received a registration certificate from the Department of Cooperative of the SACCO, dubbed Enkare Narok Border SACCO. The newly elected SACCO chairman Nitin Kilesi said they are motivated by their colleagues in other counties who have successfully begun SACCOs that helped in boosting the livelihoods of many young people in this sector.
Shukuru sana kwa ono hili ambao mumeona ambayo itatusaidia. Hii motisha tumepata kutoka wanabodaboda kutoka kaunti zingine kama Kajiado, Laikipia. Hata sisi tumepata hiyo motisha. Sasa hata sisi tutaenda mbele na tutafanya projects mingi. Hii SACCO si ya kukula pesa ya pesa yake si ya kupiga sherehe. Pesa yake ni ya kufanya project ya kusaidia wanabodaboda kwa jumla, ambaye yote ataingia kwenye meli hili la SACCO la Enkare Narok SACCO.
Kuja leo hapa kuchaguana tukapata certificate yetu. Tunashukuru Bwana Nambaso, tunaendelea pamoja. Ile kitu naambia vijana wote ambaye tuko nao katika bodaboda, tuwe watu wa kuangalia mbele. Tuwe watu ambayo kesho ndio tunaangalia. Tuwe watu ambaye tunaona kesho ya watoto wetu.
The Ministry of Agriculture has applauded efforts by Taita Taveta County Ranchers Association in the development of the beef, sheep and goats value chain sector that currently contributes 12% to the country's GDP. Speaking in Taita Taveta when he held a meeting with members from various ranches, Livestock Principal Secretary Hari Kumutai said the 900 acres of land occupied by the ranches in the Asal County has immensely contributed in improving beef production in the country. He, however, called on the county government to initiate programs and processes that will address challenges attributed to climate change.
Now, our biggest issues now are, first of all, as you said together with CEC, mambo ya maji katika ranches. Nimekuja wakati huu kuna ukame mwingi sana, and I think this is the very right time for you to be here. Kwa sababu kama umekuja wakati wa mvua, kama kulikuwa na nyasi nyingi sana, ungesema pengine kuna haja ya kuongea kuhusu mambo mengine. And at this time when the drought is so hard, all our water pans in the ranches, we have about 69 water pans in the ranches.
We have a budget constraint. Me, I'm requesting the PS to support us, even at national government, and to support with our budget, because our budget is constrained. Pesa haitoshi, but I'm very grateful. Even the little we are getting, you can do a lot.
The increasing beef demand in the country calls for continuous production and supply of beef to the market. As long as our population is increasing, our incomes are increasing, we shall definitely demand more beef. Whatever amount of money that you are given, we support the ranchers through AFC, where give you the money at a subsidized rate, and you own the animals, buy the feeds, they give you the money to buy the animals, to buy the feeds, and sustain the animals for a period of time until the drought is not there. Keep the animals, this increase in the body weight condition has improved, and you sell off.
Kiambu County, through its Development Implementation Coordination Committee, CDICC, has reaffirmed its commitment to Tatu City, the 5,000-acre Special Economic Zone, SEZ, on Nairobi's doorstep, as it creates thousands of jobs and homes through private sector investment. CDICC, chaired by County Commissioner Wilson Wanyanga, held a development appraisal tour of Tatu City, where the committee received a progress update of the multi-billion shilling new city and discussed the alignment of key roads, power, water, security, and ICT infrastructure.
Tatu City is a 5,000-acre private sector development, and through it, it has kilometers and kilometers of roads, which will end up at about 200 kilometers when the project is finished. Currently, we have 37 kilometers of roads. They are intersecting with very important county and national roads, and it's a key consideration of ours today how we interact with the roads authorities, and the county commissioner is going to facilitate that process so we ensure that Tatu City's road network dovetails with the county and the entire nation.
Today I'm leading a team, CDICC team, which is composed of the various technical departments. And I'm here because we have always partnered with Tatu City, because as a government, it's in our interest that we attract investors, and Tatu City is one of our major investors that we were able to attract. And thank God they are in Kiambu County.
Tatu City is a 5,000-acre
And to some sports news now, Gor Mahia have been cleared to use the Nyayo National Stadium for their return leg of their CAF Confederation Cup clash against Congolese outfit as Otoho. The green light comes as a reprieve for the record Kenya champions, as they've been scratching their heads over the inability of the country's two biggest facilities to host their continental ties, following the ban imposed by the Confederation of African Football for not meeting the international standards, alongside league defending champions Tusker. While Gor Mahia starts their campaign away in Congo, Tusker will start theirs at home to the Tunisians, just like they did in the qualifying round against Zamalek in the CAF Champions League. Tusker are yet to receive their clearance to stage their march against CS Faction. The recently refurbished Nyayo National Stadium had partially met the stadium requirements set by CAF, while Kasarani Stadium failed totally to meet inspection requirements. And Harambee Stars coach Engin Firat on Tuesday left the country for Turkey as speculations continue to arise surrounding his job, which will expire on Friday. This comes even after expressing interest that he would want to extend his stay with the national team. According to Football Kenya Federation Communication Director Faris Kamaru, Firat left early in the morning and will be following closely on the decision of the federation. This comes barely a day after guiding Kenya to a 2-1 win over Rwanda in their dead rubber 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifier at the Nyayo National Stadium. Monday's win was his only victory in the 4 matches that he took charge of. It was also Kenya's only victory in Group E, which Mali topped on 16 points to advance to the playoffs. All right, with that, we've come to the end of our newscast tonight. Thank you so much for keeping us company here on Hope TV. Till next time, have a blessed night. I'm Tonny Omondi, and our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Murithi.